Well, hello everyone. I'm Bryce with Role Played Games, and this is going to be our catch-up episode. So, kind of like a what's happened so far. To give a background on our Pathfinder 2 homebrewed campaign, the setting is set in Estonia and Hern. They've been separated for longer than recorded history. Stories have been passed down through generations of a group of adventurers that had petitioned the gods to create a new world that is not unlike our own. Estonia has lived in relative peace for centuries. There is an abundance of resources and only minor conflicts that have taken place between some of the races. The druids of Prophet's Garden have become outcasts in the desert. Once a calming presence between warring factions, now heralds of the coming war. While Estonia lived in abundance, Hern has seen better times. Resources are fought over, and war has been all that is known. The strong take what little remains and enslaves the weak. Words of rebellion are spreading. Ancient prophecies have been passed down in each world, speaking of a time when the worlds would collide. Hern has found a way to connect the two worlds and is preparing for war. In Estonia, rumors have only just begun circulating that gateways to another world are opening. Our adventurers were able to decide which world they wanted to be born into, and they have traveled most of Estonia at this point in time, or at least traveled through. Our characters started off in some of the major cities and have traveled to a small town called Enswood, where local heroes had been kind of their guides for adventuring. After they fought in Enswood a little, doing some various things that they might tell you about, they traveled to Pike's Point. Pike's Point is a military outpost almost that overlooks part of a sea, or part of the waters. It's primarily used for military and allowing them to be able to overlook the shipping going through that area. They did swing through Goblin City, which was interesting, and many antics were found or completed. And now our heroes are sailing with open sea as they are traveling from Pike's Point to Desert's End. And I'll let them kind of explain what they've been doing. So introduce yourself, tell them who you are and what you do, and then a little bit about your journey so far.
Sure. So my name is Tim. I play Gazmak Trustygob, Goblin Sorcerer and Entrepreneur, and now apparently Fisherman Extraordinaire. So last couple episodes had been quite exciting with some big catches, definitely. So Gazmak's background, he is from Hern, so he is from the, the troubled world, if you will, and came over to Estonia because he was kind of, I would say he not necessarily made a deal, but he was kind of pressed into making a deal with one of the Sins, who are kind of these big baddies who are trying to coordinate the invasion of Estonia. And so he was kind of pressed into service and was told basically you need to spread these thieves' coins in order to fund the campaign there. The thieves' coins basically, whenever they come into contact with any other currency, that currency is teleported back to like where a plinth is, or like a little
The Thieves' Token.
Thank you. And so that basically it's a way to steal money and fund the campaign. Episode 1 on YouTube is where you'll find the Goblin City bank heist, where I amazingly basically funded the entire war campaign with one scheme and one toss from a just a very careless banker, if you will.
Yep.
So since then, he's really he's been traveling and trying to just kind of find his way and find opportunities to make money. He's very much entrepreneurially inclined, but also finding a way to kind of learn more about his employer, learn more about the Sins, and learn more about he's starting to see the impacts of his decisions and the differences between the two worlds. He's very much closed off. He hasn't really revealed his secret on where he's from, how he got there, or anything like that. He's kind of holding out on that still. with his character. So I would say he's learning to love cooking and fishing and other things, and he's slowly starting to open up to the team and like open up himself. The Temple of Forgiveness with Anasha, I would say, was probably the biggest connecting point with her. The gambling with Ko on the fighters pits and everything, that was probably the biggest connection point. And then our underworld dealings and sneaking with Cypher recently.
That went so well.
That went perfectly. Very smooth.
Hey, we came out alive. What more
We
can you
did.
ask for?
Yeah. I think probably the other big thing that he's kind of dealing with right now is he hasn't really investigated it much, but dealing with the mystery of how his last name is so prevalent in Estonia and not just like confined to Hearn, the trusty god name, and like what that means. And there's apparently there's like an organization built around it and like a lot of, I don't know, almost like some mystique around it, if you will. And so just kind of like investigating that will be something that he's kind of wondering about and trying to get some information on eventually. So yeah, kind of a wanderer, kind of closed off emotionally, if you will, and like his secrets, because he still feels very vulnerable, if you will, to like this new place and new people, and the fact that like he knows like something that he's done in the past could have really big ramifications.
So with that, what is the most notable thing that you have funded?
I would say that the most notable thing that I've funded is the production of
Sweet Dreams.
Sweet Dreams, which is an illicit substance which makes the imbiber more suggestible to any sort of suggestions or ideas or that someone nearby will put into their mind. So it kind of just makes you very very apt to go along with whatever other people tell you to do. Gazmek has had a couple doses of it, and he's
3 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3.
3
you got the
total.
That's true.
antidote
That's
because
true.
You
you're
had
dead,
twice
and
in
then-
one night.
That's right. Yeah. So gotta be careful around substances.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any other big points that you think?
No, I think that pretty well hits it.
Sure.
I don't promise to be as eloquent or as detailed, but yeah, I play Anasha.
And Anasha has a map of the world.
Apparently, that's my one great possession. I
I
don't know where I got it. Apparently, I'll probably have to give it up sometime soon. But she's from Estonia, so from the world that's had plenty of good resources and not a lot of trouble or conflict in the last long bit, which kind of plays into her story. She was born in Hillport, a second generation of half-elves. So her parents were both half-elves, and they were raised in a society where they were all kind of accepted. There were a lot of people like her. And she grew up in relative peace with her younger brother. In a middle-class society, her mom taught them a lot of what they need to know, and she also did some traveling with her dad because he was like an envoy for the Elvish Council, kind of a go-between to all of the different societies throughout Estonia. So she traveled with him somewhat, and
Which is how she got her map.
apparently, there you go. That's a great idea. Here
You stole it from your father?
No cutscene.
I can't.
This is the place we're going next. What is it called, Dad? I'm like, you should keep this. Okay. You get lost. Point to this one. I'm from here. Take me home. No, yeah. So she got a little bit of the adventurous spirit from being able to see so many places at a young age, which was super helpful because she always felt like her hometown was very peaceful and calm, and her family was that way too. But it was like stifling in a way because everyone seemed content to just exist, and she felt like there was more purpose outside of that. She started training with Armand, who was a martial arts. Is he a monk as well? Now I'm
Yes.
trying to remember. Yeah.
He teleport punched you. Yeah, he's
he
a
did.
monk.
That's right. I forgot. Yep. Knocked me cold out. But she trained with him for a while, and he didn't seem to mind the drive that she had. He just channeled it better, whereas everyone else kind of tried to ignore it. So he taught her what she knows so far. He followed a mater. They talked about him a little bit. He's one of the deities, and yeah, he told her that there were portals opening and that Estonia could be in danger. And ever since he told her, even just mentioned in passing, it captivated like all of her thought. She's like, there's a purpose, there's something to be defended, and she wanted to be a part of that. So had an argument with Armand, her trainer, told her parents that he was sending her off on some mission, and she ended up leaving. Eerily similar to our friend Ko's backstory. Kind of feels guilt about
Not too
the
much of
way
a
she left
backstory. It was
her
more
parents.
of a side note. From
Oh,
the
okay.
story.
Eerily similar to the side note. Her brother Tareem, her younger brother, kind of knew she was leaving, but no one else really did. So she left to find Aaron and Enswood, where she heard the portal was, and to go train under him. Which has been interesting because they went there, and then since we've been kind of traveling around. So I think right now she's kind of trying to figure out where she should be in order to help Estonia best, and also learning things about herself, like she's not as cool as she thought she was, and that there's more to the world and more interesting people and dark sides to it and good sides to it. So it's kind of been like an eye-opening journey for her.
You're also a very smooth dancer.
Apparently, those dancing lessons, they stuck. Yeah. Anything else?
So, Ko grew up in the
Who are you?
marshes. So I'm Caleb.
There you go.
And I play Ko Dashik. And Ko grew up in the marshes and is probably out of all of us the least traveled. Because he's sort of stayed. The lizard
Oh.
folk are very.
No, you're still slightly more traveled than
Yeah, than me.
Cypher.
Even than you?
Yeah. Oh,
Even
yeah.
as a slave?
Cypher grew up in
Oh,
a slave
no,
camp. He didn't
yeah,
leave much.
I didn't do. Yeah.
I didn't know if they brought you places or anything like that.
They don't really get time out in the yard or anything.
Yeah.
I guess not. So, roughly the same as Cypher, so we could relate on that note then. In some other ways, but yeah, so lizard folk are very isolated and they stay to themselves. They seem out by the outside world as like more savage, more barbarian-like. And Ko decided he's always been sort of a go against the grain and not fall in line with what everyone else wants to be. And he learned, Ko is sort of on a spiritual journey. He learned of the god Iomade from a traveler, and made sort of a leap of faith to go outside of where his village and travel. And so from there he traveled to Izamond Academy, where for the first time he met Iomade, which is the deity that he follows. Her son peeked through vigilance. That was sort of his first interaction with a physical representation of his deity. And from there, he's traveled and bounced around. He didn't really have a clear direction, minus the so Iomade gave him a pike, basically, that had a compass on it, and sort of a magical device that sort of pointed him in a direction. And so Ko has sort of just been going step by step, following the directions of Iomade, and along the way he met Anasha and Gazmak and Cypher, and had a good fun time in the Temple of Forgiveness, where Ko decided to look into the well, which I did not know prior to this that that's something you shouldn't do, and ended up going through the whole temple with a huge debuff and feeling the weight of my needing to be forgiven for stuff in my past. So until then, he's had a fun time, never letting down that he hurt a friend in one of his first combats, and having some fun with Gazmak along the way, throwing him over bushes and.
That's
Trades,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Ko, I should mention this as well, is a lizard folk champion, and he is also a battle medic and sort of sides on the cleric side of things. So healing spells, he has a couple spells that allow him to heal people and give them status bonuses and things like that.
Cool.
My name's Josh. I play Cypher Underfoot, a halfling rogue. Cypher is from Hearn, along with Gazmak, but has not been had kind of a crummy upbringing, rather. Sold into slavery at a young age, not really by choice, but just through circumstances that we may get into at some point in the distant future. And just was in a bad way. Was in a prison camp, learned to survive leg on his wits, and by being sneaky and staying out of the bigger, stronger people's way, and taking what he could on the sly. He was taken as kind of a trap finder, trap trigger in a sent to sacrifice to clear the way in a temple. Managed to live through that, saw the emergence of one of the major baddies here, Representative Wrath, called Ira. Saw a portal open up, saw a way out, and took it and bolted. And then ran into these guys on their way to Innswood, and he doesn't have any idea what he's doing at all. Is in a completely different world and is just going from one thing to the next and trying to keep himself busy. Now that there's no one telling him what to do, when to do it, where to do it, he's kind of at a loss of what to do with himself, and has kind of taken the opportunity to learn about how to craft and how to make things that are his own and that can help other people instead of just stealing things all the time, although he likes to do that too. Everybody likes to do stuff they're good at. And that's pretty much his whole deal. Hates goats, though. So going through and helping out with, trying to give other options. Some of the more lawful folk in his party may not consider, even though they may work as good, if not better. And, feels like he has something of someone, at least, in Gazmak that he can see eye to eye with occasionally, both literally and figuratively. He doesn't really have an overarching grand goal other than he kind of wants to help where he can and learn what he can. He's very, very inquisitive and wants to know things.
So, somewhat unintentionally, but, I mean, this was the hope, all of our characters actually have growth. We've seen growth already, and their stories are evolving. So the world that we're playing in is not a preset world. It's evolving around them. As they make decisions, it impacts the world one way or another.
That's
like
right.
No berries.
Like no berries.
Yep.
Like
And-
no berries.
And a lot of drugs.
A lot of suggestible drugs, yes. The other thing is they haven't seen the full ramifications of all of their decisions. So there could be decisions that they've made that until they come back to an area or hear from it, it could have been good, it could have been bad.
I'm telling you, it's burning. It's burned to the ground, and they're all dead.
What's burned to the ground and they're all dead?
Innswood is gone, and I didn't want to leave it.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because there are 7 sins still. They have conquered the Temple of Forgiveness, and you received an item there, which was the Mirror of Forgiveness. And this mirror allows them to reflect 3 spells per day, and they go back to the caster. Now, part of that means that it will really help them against the Sin of Wrath, because the Sin of Wrath received a magic rod, basically, that allows him to cast 2 metamagics at the same time. For those of you that don't know, a metamagic can make a spell super strong. It can make it much larger than it's supposed to be. It can even maximize the damage that it does. So being able to put 2 of those together at the same time makes it a very powerful spellcaster. And it turns out that Wrath is a sorcerer, so it is something that Cypher was able to see, and we'll see where he continues from there. We've also met a couple other sins. We met Asadia, which is the sloth sin, and then you also met Superbia, which is the sin of pride. You have heard rumors of Gula, and that would be the sin of gluttony, and we believe that is on the Isle of Sidor. So a lot of things are happening. We're seeing where things are going. Right now they are heading to the Prophet's Garden, which is where this prophecy has been passed down from generation to generation about the recombining of the 2 realms. So that's kind of where we're heading. Anything else you guys would like to add?
That about covers it.
Awesome. Well, please join us. See what happens as we gain more people watching. You guys are going to get involved too. One of the first ways that chat has gotten involved in the past was they were fighting Josh's slave master and a few other crew members, I guess, that were coming back to reclaim Josh. And it happened to be a Cypher.
No,
reclaim
Josh,
Cypher.
don't go back to your actual life.
But a storm was brewing, and ended up that chat suggested that the river rise or the stream rise, and it drastically changed combat.
If you ever want to
So-
suggest anything good for us, though, I mean, that helps too.
You guys are going to be able to affect this world one way or another.
It actually worked out great.
That's right.
So, and also, if you ever want to suggest names, I always need a name.
Because we've learned we should ask for people's names.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
important in a campaign where you have to talk to people from time to
Lormir is the
time.
one we didn't ask
Especially
for
when you have an
everything,
entire character sheet built out for somebody and we know we don't interact with them whatsoever.
That's one of the
Yeah.
saddest things. So yeah, they are on a ship, and you'll be able to catch us again very soon. We stream Tuesday nights. We have moved from Twitch to Facebook, and we will be on the Role Played Games page, streaming there. So please give us a follow, like the page, share it so that we can get more and more people involved. We would really love to see this become a community. On top of that, we're planning on playing some other games that you'll see on YouTube, and eventually doing some live streams where we might be overcooking some stuff.
That's right.
So,
Doing some one-shots.
one shots as we meet community goals. The current one is 200 likes on the page. Once we reach that, we're going to do a one shot. We've talked about a few different ideas, so we'll see where it goes. But
We'll see.
yeah, please join in, enjoy the show, and may the odds ever be in their favor. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching, and until next time.
Hi guys.
See
Bye, guys.
ya.
Bye.